What's up, AR students? It has been a minute, but I'm so glad that we're getting together, so glad that we're getting to hang out just for a few minutes here whenever you're watching, whether it's a Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday at midnight, whenever it is. I'm super glad that you've decided to tune in, to join us as we continue to try and gather together, take some intentional time to learn about God, to learn about ourselves, and to grow into better humans. Just a few quick things. First of all, we're still not meeting in person, and I hate that. We just don't know what the reality is going to look like in the next coming weeks. But as soon as we're getting together in person, I assure you, you will all know. You will all hear from me. You'll all hear from your parents. Your parents will hear from us. Everyone will know. I promise that's coming as soon as we possibly can. And secondly, I just wanted to say, hey, welcome back after your 4th of July weekend. I'm sure it was a lot of fun. I know for me, Caroline and I got out of town for a couple days. It was really, really nice considering we've been cooped up, locked up for so long, it feels like. But I'm super glad that things are opening up around here, whether you get to go to Chick-fil-A for the first time, grab that peach milkshake. Come on, don't miss it. It's so good. I had one yesterday. Don't miss it. Whether it's that or going to the pool, hanging out with your friends, whatever, I'm super glad that we're into the thick of summer, and unfortunately school's right around the corner, so let's enjoy it while we last, while we can, and just try and make the best of it, even though things aren't as normal as we would like them to be. Well, hey, if you haven't been with us for the past couple weeks, I just want to get you up to speed. We're in this series called In This Together. Whether we like it or not, we are stuck with our families. And even though no one's perfect, even though our parents aren't perfect, even though perfection isn't even the goal, it's not even possible. Whether it's that or having to deal with trust and making sure that you get to do the things that you want to do when you want to do them, we're talking about how all of those things are connected with our families. And this week, a good friend of mine, his name is Jew, short for Julius. It's weird, but he'll talk about that a little bit. Jew's gonna tell us a little bit about what it means to continue in this time, continue in this season with our families. So y'all, check this out, and we'll be back right afterwards.
Transit! What's up, y'all? My name is Julius. I go by Jew. For those of you who don't know me, that's J-U, not J-E-W. But anyways, I'm here on today and part of this third week of the series that we've been in. And it's been a great series for me for this season, just kind of everything that's going on. And I really hope that's been a great season for you as well. So I'm excited to be here to talk to you guys today. But I'm also excited not just because of the series that we're in. I'm excited because of, kind of this time frame and just where we are right now. School is over right now. We're, in the summer month of June, and we're just kind of able to get out a little more and do some things. For a while, we were just kind of locked in the four walls of our houses. Like we couldn't do anything. Sports were shut down. School was shut down. Movie theaters, restaurants, you name it. It's almost like everything that we love to do was just kind of at a standstill, at a pause. And the only thing that we could do was just be home with our families or the people that was around us. And, got a little stir crazy after a while. So I'm excited and I'm happy that, stuff has lifted a little bit and we're able to do some things. We're still not doing everything, but able to do some things and get back to, I guess, maybe some semblance or whatever you will of normalcy or a new normal. You know what I mean? So that has made me happy, and I can imagine that for some of you, you're happy and you're even excited for just being able to maybe go out and get something to eat or order out to eat, or just go out and maybe see some friends in the neighborhood or whatever that looks like. I can imagine, again, that you are happy and excited just like I am. Because, again, when this thing first started, we couldn't do any of that. And at first we were trying to get all this information and figure out, hey, what does this mean? And okay, what's going on? And how do we deal with this? And stuff is shutting down. And we were just, trying to figure it out. And after that, it was kind of like, okay, this is different. And we at home with our families. And hey, this is a little something we didn't used to do. Maybe that was eating breakfast together or eating lunch together or just kind of being in the house. So it was kind of fun. And hey, let's play some family games and just enjoy each other's time. So for us, it was really cool for a moment. But that shifted kind of really quick, I would say. And I can imagine for you, it probably shifted kind of fast as well. And then it went from, kind of what's going on, what's going to happen to, hey, this is fun to, hey, I'm just over it. Like, for real, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm tired of being stuck in the house with the same old people, doing the same things, seeing the same things. Like, I'm just over it. And what was fun, what was exciting, what was different turned into this boring, normal thing. And even maybe what was fun turned into kind of chaos. It turned into conflict. It turned into arguments. It turned into just tense situations. Just being in the same place with people all the time, that can kind of do that to us. So some of us is like, yo, I just want to finish my eggs before we get to arguing. It's like, nope, I'm on it. Breakfast time, let's get to arguing. Let's get to fighting. Let's get to doing all of that. So for a lot of us, being able to go out and do different things now, it's like, yo, I just want to get away from home. Like, I just want to get away from my family. I need to get away from just doing the same things. I'm tired of arguing about the same old things. Can I play the games more often? Can I have more screen time? Oh, they got to choose dinner last night. Can I choose what we're eating? Can I choose what we're doing? Can I choose the game that we're playing? Can you stop breathing so loud? Can you stop chewing like that? Like, you just got tired of arguing with everybody and being in these conflicts or in these tense moments and situations. Or maybe it wasn't light situations. Maybe there were serious fights. Maybe there were serious arguments of being just, again, in the home and in the same place with people over and over and over again. So we all got to these points, if you guys are anything like me or your families are anything like mine, where you're just arguing again and you're just fighting over the littlest things, but you're making the biggest moments out of them, or you're making kind of these big things, these little things big and outrageous. And everybody's coming in like, oh, she did this, he did that, they did this, and I didn't do that. And coming to the point where, we're all coming in with this perspective or this viewpoint of feeling like I'm right. You know what I mean? They keep doing this and they keep doing that. The reason that we're arguing is because everybody else is doing this and he's doing that and she's doing that. You know what I mean? But when I'm walking in, I know it's not me. I'm right. And some of you have felt that same way. You're walking into these moments, but you're like, I'm right. The way I felt, what I said, what I did, I'm right. And if I'm right, that means you're wrong, right? The way you feel, the way you see it, what you said and all of that, you're wrong and I am right. And that's how we walk into these situations. That's why we get into these arguments or these conflicts or these fights, because everybody's walking in feeling like I'm right and I'm going to argue my point. I'm going to prove my point to everybody sees it. I'm right and you're wrong. And that's a big problem. That's a huge reason why we're in these conflicts and why we're in these arguments in the first place. Because we all feel like the way that I see it is the only way to see it. The way that I see the situation, the way that I see whatever's going on, that's the only way to see it. So if you can't see it the way that I see it, then there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me, right? Like, I know that's how I feel when I walk into conflicts or when I'm thinking about the arguments I've been in. Like, yo, there's something wrong with you if you don't see it the way I see it, because the way I see it is right. So when I'm thinking about anything that's any kind of tension or any kind of argument or fight or conflict, whatever you want to call it, when I'm thinking about that, I'm always thinking about maybe pointing a finger at everybody else, because it's easy to do that. It's easy for me to point the finger to everybody else or at everybody else, because if I continue to do that, then I'm saying to myself and I'm saying to everybody else, yo, it's not my fault. Like, it's nothing I did. They did it. He did it. She did it. What they said, how they approached it, all that. It's not my fault. And the reason that we're always kind of taking that approach of it's not my fault, because it's easier to do that when you're saying it's not my fault. You don't have to do anything else. You know what I mean? When you put it on somebody else, you can't control them. So it's easy to be like, yo, it's not my fault. They did this and they did that and they said this and they said that. It's not my fault. But I want to ask the question, what if it is? What if it is your fault? I know some of y'all right there are lost. You like, hold up, Jew. What you mean it's my fault? Man, I didn't do nothing. It is them. They always did that. Let me rephrase that then. What if you have a bigger part to play in the argument? What if you have a bigger part to play in that conflict, in that tension that's going on within your home right now? What if you really do have a bigger part to play? The way you approach it, how you said what you said, how you acted when somebody said something, how you reacted. What if you really have a bigger part to play? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? I truly believe you and I have a much bigger part to play than we give off. A much bigger part to play than we really kind of say that we do. And see, I love it. The scripture I'm going to talk about today, Jesus, he talks about kind of this very thing, and especially kind of the walking into a situation of the way I see it is the only way to see it. And if you don't see it how I see it, then you're wrong and I'm right. I feel like Jesus dispels that when he was talking to his disciples and a group of people that was following him kind of in that day. And when he talked about this, how he made a comparison between two things that we're going to read about, for me, some people think it's extra. I think it's incredible. I think it's incredible what he said to the disciples and to the people that were following him, that stuck with them then, and that can very well and very much speak to you and me right now. It's a scripture I want to read. It's in Matthew chapter 7. And it reads this. It says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Let me take the speck out of your eye,' when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. First take the plank out of your own eye, then you can see to remove the speck out of your brother's eye." Now, again, some people think, oh man, this is extra. You're talking about, a piece of dust and a plank and all that. No, I love it because, like, seriously, I can do this right here and do that. And that's a speck of dust. You can't see that. Don't even tell me you can see it. I know you lying because I can't see it when I did it. But that right there is a speck of dust. And he compares that to, hey, how do we always look at everybody else and the little things that they maybe bring to the situations, and we talk about them and they and him and her, but we don't pay attention to the plank in our own eye, which is more so like this. How am I walking into a situation saying the way I see it is the only way to see it? And if you don't see it the way that I see it, then you're wrong. I can't see anything with this in my face. How can I talk about the little thing that you're doing, that little speck, and I have this big plank over my eyes? And I feel like that's what Jesus was saying to them, and that's what he's saying to you and I. Like, first remove that, put that down out of your eye, and then you can help to look at or help your brother with the speck that's in their eye. Like, look at the thing that you are bringing to the situation, that you are bringing to the conflict, that you are bringing to the argument. Because you are a part of every conflict, of every argument, and every fight that you're in. Like, you and I are walking around, we're not getting along with our father, we're not getting along with our mother, our brothers or sisters, aunts and uncles, whatever. And then we walking around talking about it's them, it's they, it's all that they're doing. And there's one part of that that remains the same, and it's you. So what part was your fault? Like, what part of the argument, what part of the conflict is your fault? That's one thing I had to ask myself. Reading this story, taking it personal, like, okay, what part of this is my fault? What part of this is my fault? Yeah, I can go off blaming everybody else for everything that is happening, but what part is my fault? And I'm saying that I want you to ask yourself that. In whatever conflict, whatever tension, whatever arguments going on within your home, what part is your fault? Because I can guarantee you whatever tension and whatever chaos or whatever is going on within your home with you and your siblings or you and your parents, you and I can help to ease that tension. And it's simple, to be honest. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's hard, but it's simple. I'm saying it's hard because it's hard for us to look at ourselves. It's hard for us to see that, hey, I'm the one that needs to change something. I'm the one that needs to do something. But it's simple for you and I to take the approach of, hey, let me look at myself before I blame someone else. Like, that's simple. If I can just think through that every single time I'm walking into a situation, hey, let me look at myself before I blame someone else. See, I know there's a lot of things that are out of your control. I get that. Truly, I do. And I'm not asking you to control what's out of your control. What I'm asking you to do is to control you. To be honest, the only person that you can control is you. But the good news is that's the only person you need to control. It's you. Once you and I can say, what's my part to play? What was my part to bring? How can I look at myself before I blame everybody else? Once we start to own that and change our approach, our tone, our attitude, how we're acting, how we're talking, that's when the relationships can change. That's when the arguments can die down. That's when the conflicts can stop. When we begin to own our part, everything can change. So like Jesus said, don't be a hypocrite. Like, don't be that guy, that girl that's always walking around blaming everybody else and not looking at the wrong that you're doing or the part that you're playing. Remove the plank from your own eye. Address what you're bringing to the table. I promise you, once we begin to do that, everything can change.
Well, thanks, Jew. I think it's so important that we keep asking ourselves that exact question. What part is my fault? What part sits on me? What part do I have to take responsibility for? Because the reality is there's lots of situations you're going to be in where things aren't your fault, right? The coronavirus is not your fault. It's not my fault. It's probably no individual person's fault. But there's a lot of things in your life that you can take responsibility for, right? The thing that you didn't do when your parents told you to do it, the thing that you should have done, or maybe it's the thing you did do when you were told not to, whether it's your parents or someone else. Same thing goes with sports, school. You have to own the mistakes that you make. You have to take the blame. You have to take the part that's your fault on yourself. And I'm not trying to be hard on you, and neither is Jew, and I think it's just an important thing that we all need to learn, whether you're a Jesus follower or not. There's an element of learning to take responsibility for what you've done, what your part to play is in any situation. That's super important about growing up. And let me tell you, the one thing that I learned when I was your age, I was probably in 7th or 8th grade, the first time someone told me this. I had a youth pastor, his name was Jay, and he would tell me all the time, this is the thing he would say, wherever you go, there you are, right? Doesn't matter where you go, you're the one that's there. So whether it's a situation you're in with friends that you really shouldn't be in, whether it's a situation with your parents that you really shouldn't have gotten to that point, there you are, you're in the middle of it. And you can control and take responsibility for yourself and your own piece of that puzzle. And it's a really hard skill to learn. Not everyone does it. There are plenty of adults out there, and I know if any of your parents are watching right now, they know. There's people they work with, there's people that they see all the time that will refuse to take responsibility for the actions that they make, the decisions that they make, they never take responsibility for. And that's what responsibility is all about. That's what integrity, that's what all of those things that we talk about as far as the kind of person that you're supposed to become. We talk about those things all the time at arStudents, and this is just a piece of that puzzle. So whether it's with your family or with your friends, with school, with sports, with your band, with the cast that you're on, with the dance corps, whatever it might be, you have to be able to take responsibility for your own mistakes. Because the reality is, you're not meant to stay in the part that's your fault, right? You're meant to grow. You're meant to move on from that. And if you don't ever take responsibility and grow from it, you're bound to just make the same mistakes again and again and again and again. And before you know it, you're just stuck in this cycle of never taking responsibility and always making the same mistakes. And that's not the life that Jesus intends for you. That's not the life that I intend for you. That's not the life your parents intend for you either. And even though it feels weird to agree with your parents on a few things, this might be the thing that unlocks that trust piece that we talked about last time. So with that, I would really love to pray for you, but before I get there, I just want to remind you, wherever you go, there you are. And it's not meant to make you feel bad, it's just the reality. Everywhere you go, there you are. Like right now, I'm here, and wherever I go, I will go. And so will your decisions, and so will the words that come out of your mouth, and so will all the things that you probably should take responsibility for that you haven't yet. So keep that in mind. Let me pray for us, and I'll get us going. Hey God, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for this lesson that I am still learning. That we need to take responsibility for our actions, for our decisions, for our words, for what we do. And God, even though it's easy to ignore and easy to shift blame to someone else, help us learn not to do that. Help us learn to take responsibility for our own pieces. God, teach us to ask that question, what part is my fault? What part can I do something about? And God, even though it doesn't feel normal right now, even though things aren't normal right now, show us how we can find a shred of normalcy. Help us find some community, some friendships, some love, some joy, even though things still aren't the way they are meant to be. And we all know that so well. And it's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen. Well, like I said at the beginning, we are going to let you guys know as soon as we know when we're going to be able to hang out in person again. And that might not be next week, but it will be soon, and I can't wait for that opportunity to see all of your faces again, to talk about some of these things in person once again. Anyways, if this is your first time seeing arStudents anywhere, give us a follow on Instagram at arStudents. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel at Asher Ridge Church, whatever it might be. Hang out with us. We'll see you again next week. Peace.